Now then, welcome back to the channel. Saturday night, 9 o'clock-ish. Just seeing what's going on in. We had a good day? I've not. It's been well shit. And yet again, we're relying on United to try and save our weekend. Oh boy, we're fucked. You alright? What have you been up to today? Khalid says, war is brewing, Steve. I remember the live when Russia-Ukraine was kicking off. It is brewing, you know. And I'm sure we'll get into it a little bit later on. And I got some thoughts. They might not be well researched. They might not have any basis in reality, but I have thoughts. And, you know, I don't come at you here as any sort of expert. I can only give you my opinions on stuff. And I wonder how much of what's going on is orchestrated misdirection or whatever by the Russians. And because when you look at, like, if there was like a major conflict to break out, who benefits? Now, yes, of course, people who make missiles and bombs and fucking bombers and all that sort of stuff, they benefit, but who really benefits? In my opinion, Russia benefit, because as soon as the West focuses on yet another conflict in the Middle East, Russia takes Ukraine by Wednesday tea time. That's my sort of very rough oversimplified take on this. I'm sure there's a hell of a lot more to it than that. But otherwise, I don't see why anybody would push for a sort of large-scale conflict, you know. Punch says, Steve, legend IRL video, helped me loads, inspired an 8-mile hike today. Cheers from Boston. Nice. Where's good to hike in Boston? Because I only know Boston. I haven't been, but I only know it as like this city. So, what's the script with Boston like? Am I worried about Chelsea? No. We said, didn't we, Chelsea could finish anywhere from 2nd to 20th. I wouldn't be surprised. Michael says, do I think we'll ever play 3 at the back with our wing-backs high up the pitch? Not necessarily. I think the system that we have deviates to a 3, but I think lining up in a 3 is it offers you less options for rotations. So I think we'll probably not, you know. Stephen Harris says, I got a drone from Amazon. Where can I buy thermite? Asking for a friend. I don't think you can even Google that no more. Listen, fuck, I don't know what to say. You would be amazed at the reach of certain agencies. Let's just say that. Dan says, you think City can take the league without Rodri? Going off today's result, no. Although, hasn't he been over to Barcelona to see our lovely doctor friend over there? Won't even take him out my fantasy team. Tyler says, go to Maine if you hike. Also, good evening. Good evening. And good evening everyone else as well. I've heard a lot about Maine. Maine seems like one of those, it's a fishing town, right? Right up in the top right corner of the good old US of A. Big Man Ting says, I'm nervous about Spurs. That's tomorrow's problem. We'll deal with it tomorrow. Today's Saturday, and we're just going to chill. Right? Because we're not letting anything that's happened today get to us. Theo says, why Maine rather go Seattle? Lucky says, I want to play lock of. I don't know what that means tomorrow. Martine says, intel agencies know what you say in this vid. Yeah, sadly, you have no idea how accurate that is. Abhinav says, Maine is where the clown horror movie It came from. Oh, do you know what? I could be really tempted into going on an 80s movie hike. Do you know why? Because they were just better, right? And this isn't old man shouts at the sky, everything was better when I was growing up sort of a vibe. It wasn't. But the films were better when they weren't all franchises. Why is the only film anyone gives a fuck about watching at the moment the Marvel comic universe? Why is there no other blockbusters being made? Where's all the just pure good films coming out? Everything goes on fucking Netflix or Amazon now, which I've got both of, so I'm not overly arsed, but I like going to the cinema. You know what I mean? I like the experience of doing shit like that. Have I made a special guest appearance on... Oh, I made a special guest appearance on Sloppy Joe's this week. Do I know who Dom is yet? I presume he's the fellow with a beard and a bald napper that was sat in the middle, right? I presume that's who he is. Brent says, because those nerds are the only people who go to a movie theatre consistently right now. Yeah, but is that... Are we looking at the cause or the effect there? Because are they the only people that are going to the movie theatre because they're the only people that are getting served films that they want to watch? Or are they the only people that are going to the movie theatre full stop? I would suggest more people would go and watch fucking films if there was more films on that was worth watching. Chris says, I used to spend my summer school holidays in the early 80s watching United train under Big Ron at the Cliff. I'm not going to ask you how he picked his teams. I think we all know. And for those that are ignorant and innocent in the chat, it was a different time. Graphic says, good evening from Denmark. Good evening. Whereabouts in Denmark are you from? Do I think Højlund will have a place in the team now Xerxes is the new shiny favourite? I don't know, you know. I wouldn't be surprised. Wouldn't be surprised to see him start a game, in all honesty. When am I going to do the overlap? Don't know, to be honest. I get asked to do a lot, right? I was asked to go on CBS this week coming. I don't want to do it. I say no more than I say yes to stuff. So, you know, it's one of those. Matthew says, good evening from Cyprus. Oh, whereabouts in Cyprus are you from? Do I think China will suddenly move for Taiwan whilst everyone concentrates on the Middle East? I think it's a possibility, yeah. I do think it's a big possibility. And I think one of the issues with, again, this is possibly uninformed, but I think one of the issues about Taiwan is Taiwan's one of the places that makes microchips. And there's a massive drama if China have got the lock on making microchips. So I think that's why the West are kind of trying to help Taiwan out a little bit, because you don't want China having the monopoly on microchips. Because there's a lot of things you can do with microchips. Shabam says, hello from India. Whereabouts in India are you from? Genuine question. Why is Onana so weak on his near post? Or all just good strikes? I haven't noticed it. I know that he's conceded a couple on his near post, but I don't know if he's statistically weak on his near post or what. Maybe it's just because they... maybe it's just because they're the ones that we remember, maybe. Big Man Singh says, how does Thomas Frank as our next manager sound to you? Not good, I'll be honest. No, I'm thinking more European experience required. I'm thinking big club required. Evening from Nigeria. Good evening from Nigeria. Good evening, Nigeria. Whereabouts in Nigeria are you from? I imagine, like a lot of places, I only know one spot in Nigeria. And I'm happy to be educated because I know what I do know about Nigeria. It's a big fucking gaff. Does everyone just live in Lagos, or is there like other spots? Where's the other spots that you need to go check out in Nigeria? I feel like it's got a beach, right? Where's the beach resorts in Nigeria? Good evening from the Cayman Islands. I got a friend out in the Cayman Islands called Maria. I went to school with. She's my son's godmother, actually. She's living in the Cayman Islands at the moment. I've ever visited the Caribbean? No. No, absolutely a place to go to. Mark says Toronto, Canada. Good evening. Hello from Bulgaria. Whereabouts in Bulgaria are you from? I imagine, like most people, I'm going to be an absolute Brit abroad. The only place I know in Bulgaria is Sofia. So I did go and watch Siska Sofia, though. Is she my accountant? No, I fucking wish I was doing enough where I could just be like fucking it all off to Cayman Islands. Believe you me. If I could pay no tax, I'd be there for you. Hello from Iceland. Hello from Iceland. Whereabouts in Iceland are you from? We've got Winnipeg, Canada. Vancouver, Canada. Right, that's Canada covered. Fucking hell. Top 5 wars in history. Ooh. World War II, right? Straight off the bat, there's no fucking about. Let's not be hipster about it. World War II, straight off the bat, the best war. You had the best baddies. You had the fact that it was truly global, right? You had unbelievable uniforms. You had the technology. You had the fighting on all different fronts. It's World War II, and then everything else pales in comparison to that. Right behind that, just from a personal fucking favourite, and it's one that I absolutely adore. The Falklands, right? Welcome to Steve's treasure trove of knowledge on the Falklands. I fucking love the Falklands. I personally think it's the alliest war in history. Falklands has to go number 2, right? After the Falklands. I'm gonna have to get back to you. I feel like this is too good of a topic to reply off the top of my dome. World War One's not going in there. World War One was fucking horrendous meat grinder of human life, and World War One is not going into any top 5 of anything apart from a fucking big old waste of time. I did a battlefield visit of Belgium around Ypres, Passchendaele, all that sort of stuff for World War One when I was in basic training, and there was a cafe that we go to. It's got all sort of shit that they've dug up, belt buckles and cap badges and bullet casings and all that sort of stuff. There is 2 lines. So there's a couple of like reconstructed trenches, and there is 2 lines. And I swear to you, the fucking lines are 21 feet apart. Somewhere in that region, maybe 18 feet apart. And one of them is where the front line was at the start of the conflict in 1914. And 21 feet away is how far they advanced in 4 years at the loss of thousands of young men's lives. Fuck World War One. It's an absolute dog shit war. So Jimmy says Genghis Khan. See, I don't know enough of. Did he even engage in any wars, or did he just fucking murk people? Like, Genghis Khan just fucked everybody, did he? And I mean, sometimes literally. I don't know any wars he was in. French Revolutionary Wars, again, I'm ignorant on them, I'll be honest with you. Yeah, I'm a bit ignorant on the French Revolutionary Wars. I feel like I want to throw in Crimean War, because I've seen some fucking double mega cool photos, and it was sort of the last hurrah of cavalry charging, and it was like fucking hundreds of VCs given out. Nelson says Steve saying the word baddies was not on my bingo card today. I mean we're probably only touching it light there, aren't we? But the Germans, the Nazis, they were pretty bad in the grand scheme of things. American Civil War, maybe. Again, pretty ignorant on it. Steve says, did I finish reading the Pegasus Bridge book? No, but it is. It's in here somewhere. I'll tell you what is a good book. This one. This is from my time in Afghanistan by one of the Welsh Guards. And it's fucking sensational. Do you know why it's sensational? Because it's written in raw squaddy language. So if you served, you'll be able to read it fluently. So Jimmy says Cold War is wank. Yeah, I think Cold War was. I think it was interesting though, because the Cold War delivered us things like the Ox cart and the U-2 spy plane and all that sort of stuff. So and the space race is part of the Cold War, right? So the Cold War gets a little bit of a bad rap, but realistically, the Cold War's brought us a lot. War for the Roses. Again, I'm a little bit ignorant on it, you know. I'm a little bit ignorant on the Cold War. Callum says, was Afghanistan not a waste of human life, achieved nothing? It absolutely was. I mean, genuinely, if we'd have just not invaded in 2001 and instead just given them $10 billion worth of arms and bombs and bullets and just fucking left them to it, we could have saved all of the lives and all of the injured soldiers, because that's the situation that they find themselves in now. Instead, what happened is we went to Afghanistan, we built them shitloads of infrastructure, and then gave them 10 billion worth of fucking arms and helicopters and fucking tanks and all sorts of shit. What was the fucking point? That pull out of Afghanistan was absolutely disgusting, the way it was the way it was handled. Absolutely disgusting. A complete fucking betrayal on every single soldier who we fucking left over there in a bad, bad way. Mario De Silva says, thoughts on Amorim? If Sporting win again, it'll be the first time in 70 years to win 2 on the spin. I think he's underrated. I think he's doing well, but you've got to see him progress somewhere, or maybe do a little bit more in Europe, haven't you? I think. But I think he's certainly a better option than Thomas Frank, in my opinion. Even though Thomas Frank's got Premier League experience, just a 40% win rate in the Premier League is not going to cut it for becoming Manchester United manager. Punch Paint says, fighting Jack Churchill, absolute fucking unit he was. What a soldier. Also, your 457 was brilliant. Thank you, Arkid. The Quiet Tactician says, my dad was fighting in Cyprus, fighting the Ioka terrorists in the 60s, 70s. Some mad stories, Lancashire Fusiliers. Abhinav says the US pull-out game is weak. Illy says, I'd do it again. You're right, lad. The thing is, I think you ask any of us, any of our fucking GWAT kids, we're all back there. Like, what, now? I can get there now. Thoughts on Sané's contract running out as an alternative for Ahmad? Wouldn't be against that on a free, be sure. Stephen says, Ten Hag only didn't do 4 on the bounce due to COVID. Back to manager. It's a good shout. Politics aside, how highly do I rate the IDF? It's a fucking conscription army. From what I've seen, they're not. What are they doing? No, and I don't think you can take the politics out of it, to be honest, either. From what I've seen, not all that. I'm sure they've got special units that are absolutely fucking gangster. No, I think they're average grunt, being conscripts. I saw a video where they was parked in a compound and someone's tunnelled up in the compound. They didn't have any fucking sentries on. No one was fucking watching their arcs. They had nobody out on stag, and a guy managed to put a shaped charge up the back of a armoured people carrier. If that's the fucking standard of soldiering, very fucking poor. Darren says Napoleonic Wars, Waterloo, Trafalgar. For starters, yeah, I think the Napoleonic Wars, especially those two in particular, one, uniforms, sensational. I can't imagine going to battle dressed in that full caboodle. Fuck that noise. But it does look the bollocks. And also, you've got the sea side of it, haven't you? Now, it's not for me, right? But I can appreciate a job well done. Same as the Falklands, right? Load of fucking boats involved. Not for me. It's one of those. Daniel says, Sharps time. Yeah. Have I been to Canada? I've not been to Canada. Matt says, Steve, I see you outside the ground. Any qualms? Come and say hello. No. And then his podcast later says, when Sky put out the thing about Ollie, it pissed me off so much. Not only is it rude, but it helps fuel the animosity between fans, the club manager, and players. It is what it is. Do I reckon we win tomorrow? Yes, but it's going to get fucking minging if we don't. Numero Uno says, Steve, been waiting patiently on your video about patriotism, still planning on releasing it. Side note, predicted in July the riots will end as soon as the season started. Yeah. No, I'm probably not going to post it at the moment. I wasn't quite happy with the tone of it, so I've not posted it. It'll be something I probably do because I think it's very important to talk about patriotism in a way that's non-exclusionary. Like, people hear words like inclusive and fucking glaze over and switch off because they think it's all fucking woke and lefty. But at the end of the day, patriotism is about wanting the best for the place that you grew up, and it shouldn't have to have the sort of racist and right-wing connotations. Like, I'm wearing a fucking Union Jack on my head. I am proud to be British, but I'm also eyes open to the fact that Britain, as a nation, has committed atrocities in its fucking past. It's also done a hell of a lot of good. I think being honest about the places that you are and wanting the best for it is how you show true patriotism. Not lying about it, not trying to fucking exclude people about it. Like, and I think that's something that gets lost, I think, because there's a lot of the message, any of the fucking flag shaggers kind of put a lot of people off, don't they? Like, it put me off for a long time wanting to have anything. Even like being proud of your military service because it's kind of fucking hijacked by that lot. You know what I mean? So yeah, like I am proud to be British, and I'm proud of the heritage that I have here, and I'm completely aware and fucking proud of the fact that a lot of my family comes over from Ireland. That's the reality of life in Britain, especially life in Manchester. Manchester, if you broke its demographic down, almost everybody in Manchester has got heritage that's either Jamaican or Caribbean or Irish up until mid-late 90s, when there was probably influx from other parts of Africa, Pakistan and India and China and places further afield. But the reality is, from the 1800s to post-war, heavily Irish immigrant city. Post-war to today, heavily Caribbean influence because of the Windrush generation. That is who this fucking city is. And that doesn't take away from being British. Do you know what I mean? That's my opinion anyway. Socrates says Manchester and Liverpool very similar in that way. It is, yeah. But Liverpool, a little bit more so, I think, a little bit more variety in Liverpool from where people have arrived from because it's a port town. But that's one of those things. Callum says, I think nationalism is gone now, would seem to be heading towards communally sensitive ideology. I don't know what that fully means, mate, but possibly. Mitch says, you didn't understand me last week when I asked about making videos available to watch on small screen while on other apps. Some YouTube vids allow, I'm not sure why. Oh, I have no idea what you would have to touch for that. Numero Uno says, that's fair enough. Howson IRL is pretty light-hearted in tone when you're not blasting the Stairmaster. Yeah, it's meant to be. And it's meant to, but it's also meant to, like, so I've got 9 categories of video that I want to be posting on an IRL channel. And I'll tell you what those are, if you're interested. So, category 1. So this is survival and bushcraft and shit like that. So this is going to be, we're doing a map reading one soon. So it'll be how to fucking read a map. It'll be how to build a shelter. Like basic sort of bushcraft and survival type skills. I'm trying to get my land-based survival instructor course. These videos kind of help me on that way to be able to like instruct to the camera, if you like. So that's category number 1. Category number 2 is the stuff that I'm doing. You might, if you follow me on Instagram, see that I share a lot of stuff from the army. I'm working with the army to do some recruitment and some videos. We've got some, honestly, unbelievable shit planned with the army. Full access to all of the shit that goes bang and all of the shit that flies and drives and shoots real heavy artillery. We're going to do some fucking Hollywood looking shit and I can't wait. So that comes under the tactical training, as does the sort of combat shooting course that I did and the future sort of courses that I plan on doing. So that sort of stuff will be coming in there. Then we've got like outdoor adventure type stuff. So that'll be top 5 hikes in Wales, top 5 hikes in the Peak District, Scotland, etc. Maybe further afield, like, North America, if we can manage to get over there and that as well. Then there'll be a little bit on the vehicle. Maybe not as much as I thought there was going to be, but there'll be some stuff based around the Defender. We'll probably end up doing some gear or tech reviews and stuff like that. There's going to be some fitness and challenges in there. So obviously we did the 30 days of Stairmaster video. The next one is going to be I quit Red Bull for 90 days and here's what happened. Now I am on day 71. So if you can do maths, it's about 3 weeks away, that video. That's one of the ones that we're going to do. Then it's going to be camping and hiking. Heritage and culture, which is where the patriotism one would fit. That might be some reflections about remembrance or like the 457 video, that sort of stuff. And then there's going to be a podcast. So the podcast is me and Janine, and we'll bring on some friends. The podcast also gives us a little bit of a room to wiggle. People get in touch with us and want us to review gear. I don't think it's worthy of just doing a video reviewing this bag or this coat or whatever, but I feel like it'd be a nice little section inside a podcast. So we're going to do a podcast, probably in a couple of weeks. The first one is going to come out, and it's just me and Janine. chatting about what we're up to, what we're going to do, and all that sort of stuff. So that's kind of like the 9 areas of video that you're kind of going to see. Jack Simp says, ever considered doing a 75 hard? I'm on day 7. I've seen people doing it. No, I'm going to be honest, it's never really floated my boat. Steven says, I quit Red Bull and drank 6 litres a day of weird peach tea stuff. I did try and quit the Red Bull with peach iced tea. I like iced tea as well. But I didn't really... it didn't really hit it felt too watered down. Maybe there wasn't enough caffeine in it or something. But this has worked. 71 days. These optimized drinks, they're fucking killing it. G-Man says, ever fancy the Marines back in the day? No, just don't. I don't like the water. I did, what did we do? About 6 or 7 weeks on HMS Ocean. I was debating headbutting a tail rotor every single fucking day. I'll be honest with you. I fucking hated it. I slept, right? My bed was probably that fucking big, right? That behind me. I had no locker to put all my shit. I just, like, it was fucking awful. It was awful. Sam says, I live in Manchester. My heritage is French. My 2 great-grandfather changed his name from De Rose to Holt, so his name sounded more English. Interesting. Free Gold says, I'm Scottish and want independence. To me, a true Scotsman is anyone who really feels they are. If you're Scottish, you're Scottish. Doesn't matter where you are or where your parents were born. Scotland's got a very cool sort of national identity, I think. And Scotland, to me, does that national identity really right, where it doesn't feel like it's hateful to anybody else. It's kind of just like, this is us, get on board with it. Whereas I think, like, because of like the EDL stuff, I feel like all of that English nationalism comes from that kind of, that place. Does that make sense? Does everyone understand what I'm sort of getting at there? That's my thought on it. Matthew said, would I do a tenny fan for charity? Nah, fuck them kids. I ain't doing that. It's not a fucking prayer. Fucking not a chance. Nah, not yet. No chance. That is awful sounding. Where do they do it from, though? Because they're not doing the full fan dance where you summit twice, surely. Are they starting from, like, the story arms and going up and coming down and going up and coming down and going up and coming down? They're doing that. I mean, even that can fuck off. I'm going to be honest with you. That's awful. Awful. I've been having a super chat. Says, during the Cold War, we built tech that took astronauts from the moon and back in 3 weeks. Now we have Boeing getting stuck in space for a year. Did it financially fuck the country, though? Or was it cool? I don't know, you know. Aaron Deep says, I think the EDL stuff makes it hard for minorities to be patriotic, even if we are born here. Yeah, it's shit, that, isn't it? Matthew says, Story Arms. All right, Story Arms. So, mate, do you know what? That's not quite as bad, but that's pretty fucking disgusting, isn't it? Janine says, if it's just the hill, I'd do it. Really? Let me fucking figure this out. So it's a, forgive me, 4K-ish, I think. Is it, or is it not? No, it's not, is it? Is it more like 2K? Is it 2K? What's the actual distance? Janine says, don't be a baby. Oh my God. What's the distance? I know the elevation's 400-500 meters, I think, from the bottom. Yeah, what's the straight line distance from Story Arms? Josh says, sorry, going back to the war topic, but Band of Brothers is an absolute must-watch, best war series I've ever watched. Yeah, that and Generation Kill are untouchable. Can we move the candle out the way of R9, please? Thoughts on all the goals being conceded from transitions during build-up play? Plenty of them today. Was it? I haven't seen any of the games today, so I'm not sure. But we did do a we did do a bit of analysis on it a couple of weeks ago where we looked into it, and I thought it was quite obvious. But yeah, I think people are really pushing the pressing against teams playing out. Shep says, when I design a better top than J9, you can talk. I think the black kit stands on par with the ones Janine's done. I do think the green and gold has come out real fucking nice. They both come out fucking nice, to be honest with you. 20 Legend says Scarful Pike. Is there any more to that? Matthew says Penny Fan is 2,907 feet and Everest is 29,000 feet. So you could say that you completed Penny Fan. It's the equivalent of climbing Everest. Yes and no, because at the same time, what makes that last couple of thousand meters as hard as it is at Everest is the lack of oxygen, the weather, the fucking gear that you got to carry, all that sort of stuff. You know, any of those 8,000 meters is a nightmare. Nomad, who I do some courses with, I've looked. They've asked me to come and do. I can't remember the name of it. It's a 5,500 meter peak. But the times of it and the cost, let's be honest, it's a few grand, aren't really working for me at the moment. But I think at some point I would like to get that done. So there's a few people asking about books. So there's a couple here that I really like. Let me just show you these. If you like, especially if you like military ones. So Soldier in a Rather Aimless War. This is written by my old boss, Howard McGee, MBE, aka Gunnar McGee. Absolute fucking gangster. Really good book. His son, was a good mate of mine as well. And this one, I think one of the best military writers that's out there is a geezer called Mike Martin. This guy. So, An Intimate War. This is basically the way Afghans don't really have a tradition of written history. It's all oral. So all of the Pashtun sort of history is passed down, sitting around and talking over a tea with it. So I think Mike Martin sat down and gone through it with them and made a book out of it, and it's not easy reading, it's not light reading, but it's fucking essential reading, especially if you was over there. I think you should probably give it a go. He's also done another book which I think's on my bedside down there called Why We Fight, which is a real fucking good one. I've just spotted where Pegasus Bridge is, it's up there. There's another one called 8 Lives Down by Chris Hunter, which is an EOD guy, which is a fucking sensational one. Xerxes versus Hoyland, who's the best striker in football? Where's Andy Tate? He's not up here. Liam says 40-minute drive outside Penny Fan is the blue plaque of where Jimmy Murphy was born. Interesting. Town called Pentay. If you ever wanted to look at some United history next time you're down. Jimmy Murphy's a fucking interesting cat, isn't he? A very fucking interesting cat, I think it's safe to say. Rashford needs to play up front with two fast wingers. Spurs play a high line. It'll be fine on the left, I think. Anthony says, is Ruud a natural caretaker manager if Ten Hag was to be sacked? A lot of people are bringing that up, aren't they? And suggesting Ruud could be our next manager. And there might be some validity to that. That might be something that Ineos have thought of. He's come from being a manager to now being an assistant, so it's a real interesting proposition. But I always think that if you was to make someone's assistant the manager and get rid of the main guy, then at what point do we acknowledge the assistant's hand in the success or failure of what's just happened with the team? Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense? Like, if Ruud's part of the team and Ruud's taking training, and he's taking a lot of training at the moment, how much of the current success and failures on the pitch do we put on Ruud? You can't just pin it all on Ten Hag. They are a team. It's like one of those, isn't it? Numero Uno says the one thing that Rude has got over Solskjaer is that he won't take shit from higher up and protect them in the media. Possibly. If I got stuck in a wilderness with no lighter or matches, how long would it take me to start a fire? IRL idea, says Jeds. It depends on the season. If it's in the summer, not long at all. If it's in the winter or it's just rained, fucking long all time. But yeah, so we've actually discussed an IRL idea, which is almost kidnapping me and just fucking me off somewhere and making me figure out one, where I am and surviving on the way. But it's a hefty old production. Like I was chatting to a photographer I know today. He's been up in Scotland, and Scotland right now. It's only September, still just, but Scotland looks so fucking cinematic at the moment. Completely covered in snow on the top of the mountains. He said his camera froze. He had to take some photos on his iPhone, and I love that. And I was chatting to him about it, and I said, the temptation to just fuck off with a big old Bergen and just do a little mini expedition, 5, 6, 7 days, just completely wild and just fucking mooching about is strong. But there's things like wife, kids, family, work, shit like that gets in the way. 20 Legend says Cole Palmer is coming to Manchester United. That little fucker just shits goals, doesn't he? Bastard. How long before you cheat and ask the cameraman for a sandwich? They tell me to fucking sling it, to be honest, so I don't think that would happen. Alex says just an excuse to go to Montana. See, I'd love like 5 or 7 days, just fucking leave me alone. I'd do it in Scotland, because in Scotland especially, in the right season, it's fucking 4 foot of snow on the tops. Don't worry about that. That's happy days. Yeah, I mean, Scotland's, I think, virtually the same size as England, but there's a seventh as many people in Scotland, and they're kind of all located in like the lower third. The fucking Highlands of Scotland, you can drive for days and not see any fucker, just loads of coos. FP's Andy D says, heading to Maine and Canada with my work on my next contract before doing 4 months in Miami and Caribbean. Looking forward to the walks before the islands. I'll tell you what, mate, what a complete 180 of a wardrobe that's going to be. Canada and Maine before Miami and the Caribbean. Fucking hell. You ain't going to have a pair of boxer shorts that can fucking do both of those climates. Matthew says Wales is similar all around the coast. Yeah, Wales has got big empty fuck all in the middle of it, and for that reason it's beautiful. People have fucked it, haven't they? There's far too many people. Andrew says you can hike from Glasgow to Fort William in 7 days comfortably, or hike from Fort William to Inverness along the Great Glen. It's spectacular scenery. I mean, you can. I know Janine wants to do a Hadrian's Wall, which I think is 80-something miles. Is it 80 miles or 90 miles? Something along those lines. But it's one of those where you need 4 or 5. I mean, you're going to need a day to drive up there. And then if you start, I mean, I don't know where you go from that. It's 4 or 5 days, isn't it? I mean, even if you push and do like 30, 40 mile a day, it's still 3 days minimum. It's got to be. Wesley says no roads to Middle Wales, only donkey tracks. Janine says yes, but I wanted to see the Sycamore. Yeah, just absolute fucking dicks in it, cutting that down. See, people have just fucked it for people. Did I see the under-18s won 9-0? Yep, nice. There's some real good shit cooking in the academy. Ryan says, done some off-roading in and around Snowdonia in my time. It's bloody beautiful, and if you time it right, you can avoid all the pesky other people. Well, me and Janine do need to go back and finish Snowdon. When we went earlier in the year, well, I already kind of shown you guys last time we did a live, didn't we? I was blown off a mountain pause, and we need to go back and finish it. But I don't want to go on a weekend. Can you imagine going on a Sunday? Can you imagine going on a Sunday? I bet there's more people than there is at Old Trafford tomorrow. Fucking absolute carnage. Matthew says, North Coast 500 in a defender, I dare you. So even that's taking a week, innit? I'd love to do it, but I don't know when I can do it. The good thing is, me and Janine are raising a little wildling in Blake. And Jaden's into it as well, so that's good. I took the boy on Wednesday. We did 23k and got up the top of Kinder. And he didn't realise how far we were doing. He was a bit sulky by the end of it. But Blake wanted to come with us. I mean, she not got a fucking clue how far it is. But she does love walking. I literally just said to her before, we're going to go walk the dog tomorrow, do a couple of miles with her. And she was like, yes. So she loves it. So at some point she will get strong enough, fit enough to be able to come and do some hikes with us. But yeah, like, we're all into it, so it's good in a way. As soon as we can do that and just fucking tech her, it's one of them, innit? Steven says, 1.5 hours queue for Snowdon Trig Point last week. I'd rather sit on the cop at Anfield. Fucking hell. Blank Bean says, NC 500 took me 3 weeks in a camper van. Fucking hell. Sankalp says, talking about more people than in Old Trafford, how's the traffic tonight in Manchester with the Indian singer concert? It was rough going through on the way in this morning, but then not so bad around tea time. So, not so bad, I would guess. Shep says, walking is good for the soul. I don't have a soul, but still like a good walk. Rani says, best bet is to try and peak of Snowdon at dawn. Right. Yes. Now, I think you've got to time it right with clear skies. Can you imagine fucking putting all the graft in, climbing a bastard in the dark to sit there at dawn and be completely covered in the clouds? But I do want to do that. HMJ says, big man, you can't just bury your head in the sand with Sancho. He got Dortmund to the Champions League final. Did he now? And now balling with Chelsea. Clearly United is the problem, not him. Well, did you not see the fucking compilation someone made of him playing for West Ham against Chelsea? Come on, man. And you know what? We're better without him. Charles says, following on from my father's passing, my brother did the Santiago and Porto pilgrimages. What are those? Please elaborate. That sounds interesting. Ryan says, we put the roof tent on the Defender and did the breadth of the Pyrenees. Took a week using nothing but ordnance survey maps and compass to navigate. Brilliant stuff and great way to disconnect. That's fucking ledge. I like that. Rani says, he's a passenger. Sancho does not pass the eye test, man. Fact. If Ten Hag got sacked, who would I prefer to be the next coach? Nagelsmann's the only one I can think of that I would be excited with. Oh shit, that's not good. Anthony says, have I seen the suspicious Russian boat off Kent with enough fertilizer to cause a 3 times Beirut-sized explosion? Oh, it's happening again, Janine. The gig is Cope live. All right, cool. Emmanuel says, HD, were you only doing the Stairmaster the past month for an hour for cardio? You can definitely see the difference. Keep it up. Yes and no. So the reason we was doing the Stairmaster is because the missus challenged me to do it every day for 30 days. That was why we did it. How does fertilizer cause explosions for the uninitiated civvies? You'd have to ask a terrorist, mate, because I have no fucking idea. 20 Legend says Howson's going to buy a ranch in Utah. Howson's not got enough cash to buy a ranch. This is the reason I'm playing the Euro Millions. By the way, 108 million it was last night. I don't know if anyone fucking nabbed it or not. if it's 108 million lands in Stevie's bank account, I might just fuck off to Montana. I might go and buy like a quarter of Montana and then just fucking leave it. Aditya says, I'll split a ranch with you. No, you won't, because I don't want to see anyone for weeks at a time. Lowry TV says, Ian from Ireland, do I think Irwin or Keane the best Irish player to play for United? Perhaps controversially, I would always include George Best in this. I understand the politics and the fact that it's technically a different country, but one of those. I think you have to give honorary mention to Paul McGrath. I also think Whiteside and Sammy McIlroy were also worthy of honorary mentions. George Best, the only one with a Ballon d'Or. If we're including the Northern Ireland, it's George Best. If we are only including Republic of Ireland, then I for me it's Roy Keane. I fucking loved Roy Keane. I thought he was unbelievably underrated. Is Macca Northern Irish or Southern Irish? Northern, I think. Johnny Carey. Barry Power there with an absolute fucking trump card because Johnny Carey played for both. Back in a time when you could do shit like that. Connor says, I was at Schools and Higgs dinner, which I think means Skulls and Gigs dinner, last night, and I was well buzzed, maybe more, or in a... Where's that gone? Maybe more when I saw Uncle Webby. If I was a multi-millionaire, would I get a box at Old Trafford, or is the stands the only place to be? If I could get, say, 3 rows of 4 or 5 seats and sit with all my mates, I'm in the stands. If that's not possible, I'll take the box, because that's one of the good things about the boxes is that you can just sit with your mates. And that's what... people forget this, you know. It's... one of the best aspects of going football is the social aspect of it. And I think a lot of people either miss that or don't fully understand that. Shawnee says, apart from United, what other results do I look out for in the Prem? All of them. As boring as that answer is. I have every single Premier League game favourited. So. Ryan says, when are we getting an IRL vid on kitting out the Landy for some off-road and camping? I've still got to get the chassis swap done. So I've got to spend thousands on it that no one's going to fucking see. But I'll get there eventually. Patience. It's a 30-year-old car. I'm in no rush to fucking get it to where it needs to be. Any TV series that are on par with Band of Brothers, love that show. I mean, realistically, no, but I think a real good mention is Generation Kill. Have I ever been to Rusholme Chippy? I feel like I have. What do I think of Salford as a club? I think the project's interesting. I know that they pissed off a lot of people by throwing a load of money at it. But I think, you know, they've taken them from essentially paddock level, like literally 2 leagues above paddock, and they're now League 2. And I think that's fascinating. It remains to be... I don't think they've had the success with the Salford Academy that I think we all expected them to have. I thought they would put a lot of time and money into... I thought they'd put a hell of a lot of time and money into bringing through their own academy players. That hasn't happened just yet. So I think that might be a real interesting thing that we see from them in the future. And I think that would... I'm surprised that hasn't happened already, I'll be honest with you. Wes says, the best seated stand in Manchester was the Platt Lane at City. 7,000 seats sold. Sit where you want. Some booked hotel in Deansgate for the match. Says we're right in the city centre. Deansgate is city centre. Did I see the Domino's post I tagged you in on Twitter yesterday? No, I didn't. Have I done the Free Peaks Challenge? No, it's got to happen soon. But I don't know if the weather is too ropey to do it now. New Bruno says, have I tried any medieval warfare skills? How good am I with a bow and arrow? I've got a bow and arrow. I wouldn't call myself good with it, though, but I do have one. I haven't fucked about with it for a while, I'll be honest with you. I wouldn't mind actually learning how to fucking carve some shit up with a sword. I would really like to have a blast at that. Debbie says, really interesting video of Ratcliffe finding and restoring the first ever Land Rover. It's worth a watch. Yep, seen it. At what point will Reynolds and McInerney run into trouble at Wrexham in terms of finances and facilities? Championship, I think. I think that's when it starts to get a real fucking tasty. But they're also making a hell of a lot of money with it, so I don't know. We'll see what it'll be. Adichie says, how absolute should freedom of speech be according to you? I think libel laws, like if you call someone a fucking sex offender and they're not, well, that shouldn't be fair, should it? You shouldn't be allowed to do that. I think that's probably where I would extend it. Tyler says, my wife was an archery instructor, which is kind of hilarious and awesome. Awesome. Yeah, it is awesome. Am I thinking about a watch along at some point in my YouTube career? I'm boring on watch alongs because I don't want to talk. I don't like talking. I just want to fucking sit there and watch. Nimorino says, medieval warfare interests me the most. Swords, archery, and even horse riding. Pop a nerd for that shit. I tell you what, if you ever came across genuinely experienced dudes, imagine how many fucking tours, like how fucking hardcore you must be if you had campaigns under your belt where you've done that hand-to-hand fucking fighting shit at the absolute fucking pointy bit and survived, and you'd done years of it. Fucking hell. Like, it's genuinely nuts, isn't it? Like, you see, like, the Roman army, the Spartans, Braveheart shit, and, like, that first wave of dudes on both sides, how's anyone alive? Like, how is anybody alive? Where's the skill? You might be absolutely fucking Three Musketeering the fuck out of someone with some absolutely ridiculous fucking fencing moves going on. And then next guy from the side overswings his axe too far behind because he's trying to hit someone over there and takes your fucking head off. No skill. It feels like he's just all luck. Stephen Irish says, shout bombing an airport and then try and tell them about your freedom of speech rights. Speaking of sex offender, do you think anything happened with the Diddy case with respect to celebs being implicated? I have no fucking idea. Wesley says, freedom of speech, yes, but don't call fire in a packed cinema. Freedom of speech comes with responsibility. Matthew says, watching college football on Sky, why can't Americans pronounce Notre Dame? And why are they known as the Fighting Irish when their name is clearly French? They also come out to Scotland the Brave whilst playing Native American sport. Yeah. Super chat there from Von Maxwell says, Steve, shout out from North Carolina. Just to say thanks for saving me from someone else. Best United content on YouTube, and from one vet to another, thanks for the service. Cheers, mate. What was you in? Shab says, I saw a pic with Diddy, Rio, Fergie and Rooney. It's probably just one of the random celebrities that gets fucking dragged around the gaff every now and then, innit? Jed says, when I took over, was there any discussion about keeping the FTD name for brand recognition, or was I set on using SP, which, if memory serves, was my personal fan channel name first? I think we felt it was time to go in a bit of a fresh direction. So it's one of those. Did I see any of the grand final yesterday? I did not. What's his face says, people talk about Diddy, how long till he's offed? I don't know. Ben said, me and Ben did a video yesterday. It's on Patreon if you want to go watch it. There's so much coming out with Diddy that it feels like someone genuinely pulled his card. Like it was like, okay, it's time. Paddock's a miles better name, says Rory. Yeah, it just felt better. Have I read any of the Sven Hazel books? I have not. What are they about? 50 Cent was calling him out for years. Yeah, I think if anyone's having fun here, it's 50 Cent. He seems to be having a fucking right laugh. Abhinav says, Steve, what is Brailford doing? When are we getting the cycling juice? I don't know. Like I said, I'm here for 10 args, asthmatic reds. Do I follow any motorsport? Asking because of my love of cars. I've got a really cool photograph of me decked out in a Ferrari overalls with a Ferrari flag at the F1 when I must be 5 or 6 years old. So my uncle, Stephen Howson, same name, different guy, obviously, was a truck racer when truck racing was massive in the 80s, and my mum and dad used to take us around, following around, watching him and that, racing trucks. And I still got a bit of a thing for the smell of like fucking diesel engines because of that, I think. Like I can smell a particular sort of high octane diesel, if that's a thing. Like there's a truck diesel smell that, like, my Landy doesn't have it, for example, but there's a real sort of oily, guttural kind of sort of smell to a big old truck diesel engine, and you don't smell them very often nowadays. Maybe like exhausting and stuff has fixed it, but like I occasionally smell it, and fuck me, am I back in the pits somewhere. But yeah, it's one of them. So I did like it. I did like it when it was a bit more competitive in terms of, like, it wasn't, the aerodynamics in your car played less of a factor as they do now, and it was a little bit more like more people could fucking win it. I probably stopped watching properly, after Senna and Mansell's sort of time, really, I would think. What is the drug testing protocol at paddock level? I don't think there's any drug testing until fucking high non-league, National League, maybe. I don't even think it'd be in the National League, to be honest. Edgar says, on Diddy, apparently his lawyer spokesperson said he's going to tell everything, suggesting he's going to implicate a bunch of people. I hate celebrity gossip rubbish, but wrongdoing needs outing. Well, this is the madness in it, is that people think it's fucking cool to just sit on all this information until it's time to out them, but like, it's fucking nuts, isn't it? Where do I recommend to sit at Old Trafford? Behind the goals. Just tuned in. What's my thoughts if we lose tomorrow? Might just fucking bunker down, not do any content afterwards. Carl says, bizarre how all these celebrity scandals come out of nowhere with all the evidence and witnesses almost coordinated. Yeah, it's a little clean, in it. It feels a little clean. It feels like a little clean, like there's an investigation going on and a documentary coming out at the same time. Like, it just feels a little bit, do you know what I mean? Jed's Dead says they sit on the information as leverage. I get that, but it still feels a little bit clean, doesn't it? Ryan says, when Steve and Ash talking Gash coming back, all these things coming out feels like the perfect topics for it. So I mentioned this the other day. Ash is busier than we anticipated, and I guess it's not out why yet. Just for clarity, he's not implicated in the Diddy case, ironically. But he's doing some work, which we only found out about the day before we was going to record our first podcast of this season, which is about 2 weeks ago. So we'll figure it out. He still wants to do it, so we'll figure it out. Matthew says, took my partner to her first United game on Wednesday. She's not stopped asking when we can go to the next one. Interesting. Dabby says, is he going in the jungle? Oh, I think he'd be fucking great in a jungle, Can you imagine the highlights that they would get of Ash telling fucking Chesney from Corrie that the CIA follow him in his driveway? It'd be absolutely sensational, wouldn't it? In fact, someone needs to fucking tweet, I'm a celebrity, and say, get Ash Williams in. I do know that he wanted to go, I think we talked about this on the podcast, actually, that he tried to go on SAS Do's Dares Wins, and I think he'd be pretty fucking good at that. And what was the other one? There was another one. I think he'd be fucking great at some shit like that. Dancing on Ice. The fucking abuse I would level at him if he did Dancing on Ice. Shay says, how often am I doing stuff with Ben? We had a pause over the summer, but we've done 2 videos already now, so they're on Patreon if you want to watch them. Ellie says, Ash can make a conspiracy theory out of a painting suddenly falling off the wall. Fact. Like, if they mic him up for the entire night, he would win. Because people would be like, I'm keeping him on because he's off his fucking napper. Achieve Greatness says, if Rashford scores tomorrow, he should or would start blasting him more after. I thought it was really good on Wednesday. We'll see what happens. 20 Legend says, Diddy's afraid to eat in prison because he thinks the food's poisoned. Isn't he in, like, rich person prison, though? Rani says, have Ash and Ronaldo ever been on a pod together? No. Ryan says, any tips on ensuring your kids become United fans when you can't take them to the game every week due to where they live? Just had my first in July. I think you just have to use... Who the fuck was we talking about this with? I don't know what club it was. And I don't know if Jaden's a United fan. And obviously he had fuck all choice in that. I took him to his first game when he was 14-month-old. And we did have a conversation. He wasn't suggesting that he supports another club. I think he was just asking the question of, like, what if I randomly supported Sheffield Wednesday? And I think I said something along the lines of, you are free to support anybody that you want to. I am not taking you to anywhere apart from Old Trafford. So it's on you. And he was like, okay, cool. Jed says, you make watching the game on TV a family experience, just like family dinner, make watching United a family tradition. Blake will watch it and ask loads and loads of questions about it and then play football around the house, which is, I think, a pretty good sign. But you ask her if she want to go and play football, she says no. So we'll see. Chris says, what am I drinking now instead of Red Bull as I'm hooked on Monster? So it's yellow, but it looks green in this blue bottle. Primary colours, eh? It's called Optimized by Combat Fuel, and what it says on the tin is 2 scoops per 300 ml, which would mean there's 6 scoops in that, and it'd be like eating sand because it's a bit gritty. But I just put 2 scoops instead of 6 in one, and in 1 litre, and it's got a bit of caffeine in, but it's only a little bit of caffeine. So that has replaced it for me. For me, the most important thing is making sure it's cold. So I have a bag of ice, and I'm just making sure that I get ice in there, because that works. Because it was the thing for the Red Bull was about the cold and refreshingness of it. So it was one of those. Randy says, my lad is autistic, non-verbal, and it's hard that he doesn't have any interest when I thought it would be something we'd share. That must be fucking difficult. Yeah, I don't know what... I mean, nature, again, is hiking. Because people talk about, go hiking, have a chat. You can do that. I also like just fucking not talking and just going hiking and being alone in my own head when I go hiking. Abe says, I'm coming to Manchester for Oasis next year. Any eatery recommendations? See, I do find the where should I eat questions madness, to be honest. There's so many good spots in Manchester. It's an amazing culinary place. And British food has got shit reputation for some reason. And I'll be honest with you, it murders American food. Manchester murders it. And I'm not just talking Greggs. Obviously, Greggs as like a fucking fast food bakery is ridiculous. But whether you want, like, there's some fucking genuinely world-class pizza. Rudy's if you like the Neapolitan, Napoli style. You've got Ramona if you want them a bit more deep dish. There's just so many fucking gaffs in Manchester to eat. Like, depends what you want, depends what you're into. Like if you go, oh, I wouldn't mind a curry. Jesus fucking Christ. It's not a curry mile, by the way. It's 860 meters. I measured it. But there's nearly a kilometer's worth of side by side by side by side by side curry shops. There's so fucking many gaffes, honestly. Frederick says, what would the discussion around the dinner table be like if your kid went to Anfield to support the Scousers? What the fuck makes you think there'd be a discussion around any dinner table if that had happened? I've ever been to Mackie Mayer. Yeah, Mackie Mayer's good as well. John says, I found out today I can get done for drink driving my electric wheelchair. I'd say any cop that pulls you over in that's a dickhead, but sometimes they've got those hats, haven't they? Darwin says, my mates and I are staying in Old Trafford before the PAOK game for my mate's stag. Best place to have a group meal before any tips? Again, depends what you're into. Yeah, it really depends what you're into. There's so many fucking spots. Like, I like Buzz Rocks for a bit of fried fucking chicken, and gravy. Get the gravy. But you might not. So I don't know. Who do I think your old partners with better, Delit or Martinez? No idea. Socrates says, get down to Wings. See, Wings is all right as well. It's a little bit posh for Chinese food. I like my Chinese food a little bit more fucking ghetto. Not quite like, motor oil ghetto, but, a little bit more ghetto than Wings. Wings is a little bit upmarket, really. Rani says the hospitality at Hotel Football is class for its price. Yeah, Hotel Football's cool. And actually, if you can get in early enough, the food in Cafe Football's pretty fucking good as well. Janine says Ramona and die-cast with mates. I'd also say, though, don't go Ramona in winter because it's fucking Baltic. But Janine doesn't mind that. So, again, it's different folks like different things, don't they? How did I just turn off the Deliveroo/eating out habits? Preparation. That's the only thing. So a lot of the time, I was nailing Deliveroo for ages, and it was just lack of planning. It gets to the point where you're like, "Fuck, I'm starving. I'll just get Deliveroo because it'll be here in 10 minutes, and then jobs are good." Whereas I use Sundays and Wednesdays, or sometimes Saturdays, if I've not gone to the gym Saturday morning, and I'll go Tesco. And Janine's trying to sort of get into a bit of a routine with her eating at the moment, whereas I've managed to sort of crack one over the last couple of months, and honestly, my diet is super fucking boring. And I'll mix it up, probably I'll try and go out. I'd like to go out with my wife once a week if I can. Go out for something to eat, go out for a curry or something like that. But my diet, for the most part, every day, Saturdays gets a little bit west because of the football, but I try and do like a Caesar salad with 200 grams of like pre-cooked chicken, like flavoured chicken that Tesco has, like barbecue flavour or some shit like that. And then the one thing that I've absolutely loved since I found them is Tesco does these Cajun chickens. It's 360 grams of chicken, which is, it's maybe a third too much. I mean, probably about 200, 250 grams would be nice, but 360 is a little bit on the weighty side, but it's a lot of protein, so I don't mind it. And I either have that with, like, listen, you're not going to be inspired by this because it's bland, but it's working for getting the timber off, and that's all I'm using it for. I either have 100 grams of rice, microwave rice, fucking 1 minute in the microwave, bosh, or this is the one that gets some funny looks off the wife. Tesco do something called punchy peas. So it's got mint, chili, and some other spices in it. And it's like 200 grams of peas. And that's it. It's peas. It's just a fucking bowl of peas. But I'll do the 360 grams of chicken, bit of flavouring and bit of seasoning on it. And I'll bang them peas in. And then I'll just slice the chicken up into chunks, and I'll just put it on top of those 200 grams of peas, and I'll just eat the fuck out of them. Done. And I'm eating like 1,300 fucking calories a day, and that's it. And that is it. So, and And all I'm doing is banging the chicken in the air fryer, 18 minutes, the peas or the rice in the microwave, 1 or 2 minutes, and like it's a prepared, like a bag of, like everything is in the Caesar salad bag. You know, the sauce, the croutons, the cheese, the salad, and a pack of prepared chicken. And I have all the cutlery and bullshit that I need at work. Fucking throw it all in and bosh it off. And it's literally just being prepared. Just going, getting like 3 or 4 days worth, a couple of times a week, and just cruise with it. That's it. Karunish says, as someone who's lost 65 kg, 65 kg, fucking hell, well played. It's all about your calories. Intermittent fasting from the morning till 6 p.m. with a half bottle of Coke. I felt like my sugar was low. Literally a game changer. Fucking hell. You felt like your sugar was low? It is low. I've fucked about with intermittent fasting, and yes and no. Whatever works better for you, in all honesty. Abhinav says, what do I do when I have cravings at night? Here's the thing, right? So that diet that I'm on at the moment isn't actually too different from what I was having when I put a fucking load of timber on, genuinely. Now, there's probably more takeaways in there and definitely more hobnobs in there. Full disclosure. But I was having like 1 or 2 meals worth of Red Bull calories. And here's the thing. Since I've not had the Red Bull, there's barely any sugar in my diet whatsoever. Like, it's fucking meat and veg or rice. I guess there's a little bit of starch in that, but like there's no sugar, there's no artificial sweeteners in stuff. So I haven't had the cravings. Like today I've had about 700 calories or something this morning, and I just had 2 pieces of toast before I've gone live. So I've probably not even done 1,000 calories today, but I don't feel hungry. And I think the reason for that is because I'm not having the Red Bull sugar. I think the sugar makes you want more sugar. I think it's just like a fucking constant sort of cycle that you spiral down. So when you say, what am I doing with the cravings? What cravings? Like if I had that toast, because I'd just done 30 minutes on a Stairmaster and I fucking destroyed myself. I got my heart rate to 175. I think if I hadn't done that, I wouldn't have needed it. I'd have been all right. I think it's one of those. I think sugar's the fucking madness. Abhinav says, so is getting a good amount of protein the right reason to control cravings? Well, someone I was listening to the other day, it might have been Huberman, was saying that we need to stop treating protein as the same as like, you know, carbs and fat calories, because the way it gets used in the body is a little bit different. So if you have a slightly higher protein diet and your calorie intake is the same, if like your body's gonna use that for more beneficial stuff and recovering that than it would for whatever. Can I do Jacob's Ladder? Watch Jacob's Ladder. I know every fucking hill that you go up seems to have a Jacob's Ladder or something. Is there something about that? I know you're a rum lover. Do you have a favourite spiced rum? Of the spiced rums, probably Salford or Zacapa maybe. Of the regular just dark rums, Diplomatico. Numero Uno says hydration as well, looking good as well as an appetite suppression. Yeah, I'm having fucking 5 of these a day. And there is a downside. I'm getting up twice a night to piss. I am having to piss probably every 90 minutes throughout the day. Like, I went to go and pick Blake up from my mum and dad's earlier. I had 2 wees while I was there. That's annoying. Like, I am pissing. I thought my body might have adapted to it by now, but it hasn't just yet. And I am just pissing like a motherfucker at the moment. So that's the only downside I'm seeing to it at the moment, but we can figure it out. Seducer of the Troll says, I'm doing 1,900 calories at the moment and spreading the protein out with Grenade protein bars, which helps. I'm not sure on... I don't know if I'd be having a protein bar all the time. I think you just want it from meat. I guess it... Or a protein shake. I think there's too much other shit in the bars, especially just to keep them alive on the shelf. I think they have to fill them with other stuff. Check the sugar. Dennis says, no headaches without the sugar? None. Nah, none. Nah, done none. No headaches, no. And I thought I was going to get some without the caffeine, because I could have 3 Red Bulls before I get to work, which... No one's sitting there going, oh, that was really fucking cool. One of them, innit? Josh says beer and cider are a killer in a healthy diet. So much sugar in them. Dabby says I had a pepperoni this morning. Floki says sell Rashford in January. He's not mine to sell, but okay. What am I drinking? Again, so I've mentioned it a couple of times. But it's called Optimize by Combat Fuel, and it's just I don't know why. I just decided a bit of a driver for it was obviously I get all these calf injuries and they fucking annoy me, right? Because I want to go and fucking do an absolute madness. And these calf injuries are fucking me off. So I thought, I wonder if the amount of sugar I'm having is causing some sort of inflammation. And that's one of the reasons why I can't seem to shake these calf injuries. So I just thought, let me just fucking have a try. So I had a try. And it worked. And it's as simple as that. And it worked. Like, we had a free sample on a course I was on of this and a strawberry and kiwi flavour one. And I tried that and I was like, fucking hell, that's nice. And then the next day I tried the other one and the other one was fucking disgusting. If I'd have flipped it the other way around, I wouldn't have even tried it. So pure luck, man. Pure fucking luck. Chris says 100 quid's worth in a basket. I'm on the mango dragon fruit flavour. I mean, you might have a different flavour yourself, but like the mango dragon fruit flavour, I'm here for that. Speak123 says I eat 2,800 calories, but I train BJJ 6 times a week. Struggle with the sugar habits, especially because it feeds energy. Can imagine, yeah. Favorite athlete, non-football. Tyson. Yeah, I would say Tyson. Josh says, lad I was in school with consistently smashed the monsters daily, a few a day at least since we were 14. Took a pact a few months ago, dead at 27. Fucking hell. Would I ever train to be a falconer? It's not on the top of my list, I'm going to be honest with me. Mark says, aspartame me in drinks knackered my calves. Elaborate, please. Mitch says, I'm a chef waiting for a bowel resection. Fucking hell. Everything I eat makes me vomit. Finding that carnivore diet is best. Meat digests fast. Mad that healthy foods hurt the most. Well, it's what we call healthy at times, isn't it? Because some things aren't necessarily healthy and some things are actually, like I said, meat is pretty fucking good, isn't it? Jeff says 10k steps a day is a serious cheat code for weight loss and maintenance. Just stay disciplined. Mine fell off me when I was doing the 457. So I was doing a lot of it fasted in the morning and it just fucking fell off me. Super chat there from LA, which says, thoughts on the situation in Lebanon. My apartment has been trembling for 3 days now. Fucking hell. Come over, we need army men like you these days. Is there gonna be any fucking army? Like, this is what I don't understand. Britain and Lebanon did a joint exercise not long ago with a parachute regiment. Are we allies or are we not fucking allies? I just don't fucking... I don't understand how they're allowing Israel to do all of the things that they're doing with no fucking comebacks, and no one seems to check them on anything that they do. MRMC says, do I think that Prem football will become more Americanized with the influx of American owners? I already see it with how football Twitter is becoming like NBA Twitter. Yes, a little bit. Do I know anything about the fish war between UK and Iceland? No. Mo says, if United lose to Spurs and Villa, will I turn the corner on Ten Hag sacking? Probably not. Steve says, do I think Xerxes in the 10 and Hoyland at striker would work? I would like to see it. I'm open to seeing it tried, yeah. Ant says, have I seen the 3D display of games at the SoFi Stadium thing? They show away games in real scale by dropping the screen onto the pitch. Jesus. Would I go if United did that? Probably not. Did I watch any of them Wild Campers I used to watch Hayes Outdoors during lockdown? No, I haven't seen them, I don't think. Would my opinion on the new management group change if they hire Southgate? Yes. Andorra's Revenge says, I have a feeling Xerxes is close to figuring out the movement and will come good. Am I making the lad play footy? Mine? Making him? I won't say I make him, no. What's my go-to meal deal? See, here's another thing, right? Since I've fucked the Red Bull off, things that I would normally eat, like I would probably get like a ham and cheese sandwich and like a bag of Walker Sensations. Janine got me that last week at some point, or the week before, as a meal deal, and it was I couldn't fucking finish the sandwich. It was minging. So I have mentioned this before, but the Red Bull introduced shit habits like across the fucking board. Because you would go to the petrol station to get a Red Bull or two, let's be honest, or four. And while you're in there, you'd be like, let me grab a bag of how many Red Bulls a day was it? Between 5 and 8. And it might have hit 10 on some bad days. Like them 330 mils, they're gone in a sip. I'm gonna be honest with you. Like I am fucking sinking these, and these are a litre, right? 335 goes in a couple of fucking sips, not a problem. And I would think nothing of grabbing a bag of McCoys and a Twix. But the thing I've noticed is, one, I'm not in the habit of stopping at the petrol station and grabbing that shit at the moment. But also, I did, maybe 3 weeks ago or so, I did get a Twix and a bag of McCoys, just pure randomly. Didn't stop for a Red Bull, just got those. And I couldn't finish the Twix because I was tasting it for maybe the first time ever. And I was like, this is fucking minging. And I like Twix. I've had any caffeine withdrawals? No, because there's still caffeine in that. It's just a tiny little bit. Steven says, I can't get my head around the pressure on Ten Hag. It is what it is. It's always the fucking way, innit? MRMC says, how hard was making the switch from soldier to working a normal job? I'd had a normal job beforehand, so it wasn't madness. But I can imagine some people really fucking struggle with it. Dave says, late night live's what's needed tonight. I'm still hanging from last night. Would I rather the pressure to succeed or no one care at all? I'd rather the pressure to succeed, for sure. But I think there's not pressure to succeed with Ten Hag as much as there is a desire to see United fail, which I think is different. Did I see Barcelona lost? No. Haven't they had an unbeaten start, obviously, until tonight, this season? Or was it even an invincible start? Like, flawless start, sorry. Dad says, Twix are my go-to along with Kinder Buenos. I'm almost enjoying the fact that I've had, in the last, like, 2 months, as I've been sort of, like, really sorting my shit out, there's a few things that I would eat regularly that I've had. Like, I had Chinese food as my takeaway maybe a few weeks ago, and it was fucking minging. And I'm like, I kind of hope that my taste buds have changed and I've decided I don't fucking like that shit no more. I'm not sure if I mentioned, but I've seen Pep's head fall off speaking with Jamie Jackson. No, but I love that. Knight says Barcelona's squad are 17 to 22-year-olds and their best player is 17. Crazy. He's genuinely that good. He's not just like their best player at the moment. He's genuinely fucking quality. He's genuinely fucking quality. I don't know what his level's going to be, but he's fucking unbelievable. Yamal. Who do I think the most underrated United player during the title winning days? All of them. Genuinely. Like, fucking all of them. Like, if David Beckham wasn't world class and Ryan Giggs wasn't world class and Paul Scholes was only good because he was in a fucking good team and Gary Neville was shit, like, and Roy Keane was just a fucking thug. I don't know where, like, Dwight York weren't all that and Andy Cole weren't all that. How did they win everything? I think they were all shit. Dre says Walcott comparing Palmer to Van Persie and Bergkamp. Fucking hell. Abner says, despite what many say, I still think we need to further reduce squad's median age. More early 20s players. That's where intensity and sharpness will come. I think we're getting a few younger players popping into the squad on that for sure. Luke says, just now showing up, but how it's now 115 charges. Oh, Jamie had Pep talking about how it's now 115 charges. Fucking hell. How's my adventure into college football going with OU? It's doing what I thought, which is I give a fuck a little bit at least. I'm not fucking diehard, obviously. I mean, I'm sitting here rocking a fucking Oklahoma shirt, like, but it is making me actually seek out the highlights and be asked a little bit more about watching the games. Do I like football much as now as I did, say, 10 years ago? I do, but it's different. And I think part of the reason it's different is because I actually think the last 10 years, the quality of football at the very highest level has gone down. I think it's become it's become sort of academyified, where there's too much sort of emphasis on robotic, technical, tactical players, and less about those sort of players who got you off, excited you and got you on your feet. I think we got to return to that a little bit. Knight says the quality of the Prem since 2015 has been so poor. Dex says off topic, but what's one advice I would give to early 20s people who feel like life is kind of disarray? I like the quote that I think Chris Williams says, which is, if money and status wasn't a factor, what would you do? Because ultimately, your self-identity is the most important thing. And if that's off, it can feel like your whole life is off. And I think if you find something you enjoy doing that stimulates you, that challenges you in the right kind of ways, that you get excited about doing, not every day is ever going to be flawless, and some days you're going to fucking hate it and stuff like that. But if you can find a gaff that 80-20 of the time is, yeah, this is what I want to be doing, that's the best place to start. If you're in your 20s, you're not old. Like, you can flip your career 5 fucking times before you hit my age in your 20s, and it all helps. Every experience that you get goes in the bank and informs your next set of experiences. I think you got to do that. I think you got to go and pursue your hobbies to the point where you understand the sort of things that you like. I shied away from the outdoors a lot. I think this happens to a lot of soldiers, right? And I've 180'd on this in the last few years, and I've never been happier, I don't think. I think a lot of people leave the military, sort of mourn the identity of that person that they were when they was in the military a little bit. Mourn the fact that you're never going to do stuff that's anywhere fucking as cool as what you did when you was in the military. And I think a lot of soldiers, because I'm speaking for myself here, but I also see it in some of my friends, they go away from who they were as a soldier to almost justify the decision that they made to leave the army. So they almost close off the mates, close off the lads that they served with, close off all of that engagement in that community. And sometimes that's very, very easy to do, because the armies are moving. I'm sure this is all branches of the military, but I'll speak for the army specifically because that's what I was in. I think the army specifically is a moving train, and lads are so busy, and operational tempo, certainly in the GWAT era, was so fucking mental. We was fighting 2 wars at the same time. Like, my regiment had people deployed in 2 fucking war zones at the same time. Hundreds of people. So when I signed off, it's literally like stepping off a bullet train, and the fucking train's gone. And I played Pro Evo for 9 months. Like, I just fucking played Pro Evo because no one was around to even be like, what the fuck are you doing? No one was there to care because it's so fucking busy. So it's very easy to unplug and just watch that train go. And you're not going to get checked in on by people. So I think it's quite easy for people to disconnect. And then I think they deliberately lean into the disconnection so that they're justifying their decisions to go. And I think with, since I've kind of like decided to go back to it and embrace it and acknowledge it and be proud of it at the same time, I've felt better because it's who I am. And I think that sort of unacknowledgement or denial of who you are can lead to the sort of the friction that's in your fucking life. So I would say go and just throw yourself into some shit and see what happens. You know, don't be afraid to just, you know, to walk into a new place and to look into new hobbies and stuff like that. And if you want to go, I wouldn't mind trying this. Go fucking try it. That's it. And then I don't know. I find it mad how people find the careers that they're in. How did everyone find the job that they were in? You know, from leaving the army, I did TV installation, and then I worked as a labourer, scaffolding, and then from there, they had a quantity surveyor sort of pathway. So I applied and got it and went to Salford University studying quantity surveying. And I thought I was doing the right thing because I'm working in construction. There's a career progression here. Quantity surveyors earn loads of fucking money. This feels like externally people will tell you that this is the right fucking thing. But I didn't identify with that. That wasn't me. So I never really was happy with that sort of stuff. So I think, yeah, and Janine sort of touched on it here in the chat. You got to be who you are. As I did 5 years of being quantity surveyor, and I put on a fucking right load of weight, and I think a lot of that was just coping with, maybe not quite being fucking happy in my own skin with who I was because I was doing a fucking job that sucked, that just was not fucking me, didn't fulfill me in any way whatsoever. And like Janine says there, gutted when you had the calf injury, never wanted to go out walking. Growing up in the hills, I thought I was married to a like-minded person, was tough when you wouldn't get outside. Yeah, and like for those of you who see the IRL channel now, like I go fucking throw myself. Like, I did 23 fucking K. No one paid me to go. We didn't even make any content from it. We just went and did it. Like, this is who I am. And I feel fucking more like me doing this sort of stuff. And I think that's what you got to do. I don't know how everyone makes money. I have almost fucking panic attacks thinking like, what the fuck is Blake gonna do when she grows up? But you got to go and find what you got to find. And if you can get paid for something you enjoy doing, then fantastic. Otherwise, I don't know. You got to do what you got to do, and then just fucking take as many shits as you can during the day, and fucking make sure you live your weekends to the max. We've all had shit jobs. All of them. There's not a single fucking person alive, I don't think, that's not had a shit job at some point. Chris says, broke my neck 18 years ago. Next week I'm going to try walking again. Please tell me that that's been a fucking moving towards decision and not just like, fuck it. Jesus. Mike says, my lad's 13, playing under 15, training with under 16, 17s. It's good for him. Yes. That's exactly how he needs to be challenged. Jay Bowman says, Steve, 33, 12 years deep in a sergeant, looking to get out for a better family life. There's hardly any opportunities to get away now. Is it as daunting as it seems? Here's the thing, right? You know that fucking paycheck's coming. I don't think the government has bounced a check, certainly not to the soldiers, in probably in a long fucking time. Like, but pay's not that easy. I've had fucking jobs where you just go, we ain't been paid, and it's fucking mental wage. Yeah, we ain't been paid. Are we getting paid? Don't know. You're like, oh, okay, fucking hell. I would say don't be scared of getting out. The army, the army is very good at telling you like all that glitters isn't gold. Yeah, cool. All that glitters isn't fucking gold in here either. You know, there's some fantastic careers to be had in the army, but also it isn't the only thing that you can do in your life. I'm very thankful for the service that I had in the army, but it's not the only option for people, and it's certainly not the only option for. I find there's a lot of really fucking intelligent people that will get out before their 22-year mark. You can put your own spin on why you think that is and why you think that maybe isn't, but I think there's a lot of intelligent people realize that actually the further up the train you go, it isn't that great. But that's not universal. I know people that have had fucking sensationally fulfilling careers, as they've got into those latter senior management positions in the army and that. It depends on what your qualifications are. The problem is you're going to go from being, as a striper, you're obviously pretty much managing best part of 30 lads probably, whereas anything that you do now, you're going back to the bottom again, and that's hard. But it is what it is. You're gonna have to do it. Stephen says, I've been a gas engineer for 26 years, still trying to decide what I want to do for a living. Love that. Newton says, Newtonic says, did I watch any of the Wire versus Saints? Great game. Hope Rugby League gets a boost soon. Buzzing to beat them again. No, I haven't watched any Rugby League this year. None. Literally fucking none. Shep says, gotta get out of here. Take care of the fucking paddock. Laters, mate. Notch says that the one job that I had lasted 17 years before finally managing to move on. The one job I had that broke me lasted 17 years before finally managing to move on. Fucking hell. That is a long time. Yeah, I think you got to fucking, you got to quit quick if it ain't right. But it ain't easy. Especially if everyone's on their ass at the moment, aren't they? Like if you're only just managing to get your fucking bills paid, it's very fucking difficult to be like, I'll fucking stick this job up your ass. And then what you gonna do tomorrow? Don't know. One of them, innit? Kevin says, it's a shame schools don't teach kids not to put the blinders on as far as future careers. There's literally millions of roles. The important thing is that you feel achievement regularly. Do you know what I think the issue with the teaching of kids is? Every single person that's involved in teaching did the traditional academic route. Every single person involved in teaching went to college, went to university, and probably went straight back into education. How many people that are primary and high school teachers have actually gone and got 10, 15 years experience somewhere and then gone into teaching? I'm sure it happens, but I bet it's rare. So one of the issues that you get there is teachers kind of only know the path that they've been on. And the country fucking lives off its trades. The construction industry, electricians, and all of those sort of skilled workforce. No one really tells kids about those trades because the people that you're chatting to in schools don't have the experience in those trades. Do you know what I mean? So I almost think that you've got to try and expose kids to be seen as much as possible. But I think that's also on parents as well. I think it's on parents to sort of explain to your kids. The thing is, right, so I grew up in Droylsden. I went to school in Ashton. I didn't know anyone who knew anyone that had ever worked in a stock market. Joe, those £500,000 salaried jobs, they're not open to people from Droylsden. I don't think there's ever been a guy that works in a London stock exchange that's come from Droylsden. When you talk about glass fucking ceilings, there's one. Working class kids do not have a fucking clue about Oxford and Cambridge, let alone shit like those mad fucking jobs. Like, do you know how many jobs there are in insurance? Insurance, right, which sounds like the dullest professions out there, that pay 700 grand a year. What the fuck is that? Or pharmaceuticals. Ain't no fucking kid from Droylsden that does pharmaceutical research. 400 grand and a fucking company credit card. Like, there's none of them fucking things out there. You know what I mean? I think there's got to be a way to sort of expose people to more thingies. I mean, actually, do you know what? I did put this on my story the other day. Not my story, sorry, on my Instagram. If you didn't see it, but yeah, I had family that was in the army, and it was a career that I knew of. But I'll be honest with you, it was kind of the only career I wanted. That is me, aged 5 or 6, in a Desert Storm t-shirt in my uncle's flat in Germany when we went over to visit him when he was in the army. I wanted to be a soldier from being that age. I never wanted to do anything else. But it was a job that I knew of. And I bet if I had to go back and speak to 16-year-old Steve right now and be like, right, jobs, talk to me, fuckwit, what we doing? I'd have been like, army. All right, I'm what? Oh no, electrician. Why electrician? Because my fucking dad's one, right? My granddad's one. All right, okay, what else? Fireman. Right, is that it? Yep, that's it. Do you know what I'm saying? Big Dave says, I went to Little Moss. I'm sorry to hear that. A lot of my mates went to Little Moss. Some of them turned out all right, to be fair. Our kid went to MGS, Manchester Grammar School, I'm presuming, and earns 200k a year, all about schooling. It's the sort of network you're exposed to, innit? Stephen says, my lad started at the Royal Northern College of Music in Manchester. He's played in the proms at the Royal Albert Hall. He's so working class, it's crazy. Ruby says, it's a job you know of. Yeah, truth. That's fucking it. That is it. And that's the thing, is like, no kid has ever decided, from fucking Droylsden, I'm sure, to go and work in a fucking stock exchange or like on Wall Street, because it's just not a fucking environment no one can be introduced to it. Do you know what I mean? IR says, I go to the uni that gets the most people into those big finance jobs, and even then, I don't think I'll be able to get anywhere near it. I was many steps behind the red kitch before even starting. Janine says, every time I hear a child say they want to be an influencer, I tell them don't do it, and 50 reasons why. Blake's already saying she wants to be a YouTuber. You won't see Blake in content that we do, and that's our choice, that we don't want to do that, because it's our career, not hers. But yeah, I would, again, why do kids want to be YouTubers? Because it's a fucking job that they know. It's a job that they can see. What do people do? I don't know. That person made fucking, they want to be on telly, or they want to do whatever. Like, it's the jobs that they fucking know. Brian says, I know how to repair and build computers, but work in demolition. Lucas says, advice for people leaving uni and struggling to get jobs. As shit as it is, mate, you're probably gonna have to do some internships, because I do think that when I think being qualified is a good thing. And I think getting those ticks in the box with your education is, by and large, a positive thing. The problem is when everybody now has to have a degree, it's essentially lowered the fucking bar. So now everyone is on the same sort of playing field. Getting a degree would have made you stand out 25, 30 years ago. Now you don't stand out because every fucker's got a degree. So what are you going to do to stand out? So I almost think that you kind of have to say, go and get experience in the field that you want. Go build some sort of a portfolio in the field that you want. And stand yourself out with the quality of your work. The quality always rises to the top, depending on what it is that you do. Obviously, some things are going to be easier to stand out, and some things are going to be harder to stand out with. It's one of those. Mike says, my lad hates school, but football mad, and the school took that away because he wouldn't put on his blazer when it was hot. Chris says, if you go into software, you don't need a degree anymore. Here's the other thing, right? So obviously we work in video production, so we have a lot of people that are at uni doing, film, media, camera and lighting, all that sort of shit. But at the end of the day, I would only hire someone based on what their portfolio says. I couldn't give a fuck if you went to uni and you did 3-4 years. That's nice. It's a bit of a base. You'll learn more in 2 weeks starting with us than you would in the 4 years you would at university, for a fact. But I know that the lads that, Will is a producer, very high up producer now at BBC Sport. Cam's basically fucking running United socials. Callum left us relatively recently and is now working at the Overlap. Like, those lads have gone and got those jobs because that they've managed to get a real fucking good grounding and a body of work behind them. They all started off doing I think we do 6-week internship for all of those guys. And then at the end of the 6-week internship, all of those guys got taken on either full or part-time. And then from there, they've built up what they've done and they've moved on. It's one of them. Callum says, uni students don't understand that the reality that just because you have a degree doesn't mean you're going to get a job in that field. Nope. Luca says, some internships don't pay, and trying to juggle this day and age when everything is fucking skyrocket expensive is hard to do. I've still got work experience and struggling to get somewhere. Yeah. When we do internships, I do 2 days because I think someone can fit that in around like a job somewhere. And like Joe Smith, for example, he came and did an internship whilst he was working full-time in a coffee shop. So he came on the days he was off and he got his experience like that and he ended up being full-time. Joe now owns a part of the channel and that's his thingy. That's how it's got to be sometimes. I think anything more than a 2-day internship is probably taking a piss because you don't need more than that. You don't need more than that to get the experience, and they don't need more than that to see what you're about, genuinely. Chris says 1,000% or 10,000% even. Passionate lads are also more likely to succeed over I did a 4-year degree because you learn surface level shit in everything. Very true. Callum says, think apprenticeships now allow learning while working in a much better direction. Yeah, I think we get hit up by the government all the time to get people in on apprenticeships and that as well. 10 Big Hike says, sound, I never went to film school. I've worked on 6 films in 6 years since spending 3 months working an internship under a local film guy. Yeah, I can see that being quite a frequent kind of thing. Stu says, I worked my way up from volunteering to senior leadership in education based on experience, never went to university. Yeah, I think education's the big one. Gurav says, all this don't care about your degree talk makes me feel bad about having a PhD. I think my sister's doing a PhD. I know she got a master's, but she's a physio and she's a fucking nerd for learning. So I think she just likes fucking doing it. I don't know if it helps her in her job. I'm not sure. Atli says, are the names of the members also on the home kit? No, just on the black kit. Andy says, having met some of the folk that work on Wall Street, you might have dodged a bullet, Steve. It's almost not the point, though, is it? Because it's just not a role that you even know exists. I mean, all right, you may have peripherally heard of Wall Street, but like, do you know what I mean? Like, let's have a fucking Google, right? Because I actually don't know. Like, what's the fucking 10 highest paying professions in the UK? Right. 10 highest paying jobs in the UK. Here we go. I think this might be for graduates. Oh, God, trying to make me sign in. Vice President of Sales. So, salesman, sort of. 115 grand a year. Chief Financial Officer. 111 grand a year. Ophthalmologist. I'm going to have to Google what a fucking ophthalmologist is. I don't know what the fuck that is. 107 grand a year. Orthodontist. Anaesthetist. Plastic surgeon. Nephrologist. I'm going to have to Google that one. I don't know what the fuck that is. Renal medicine. Diagnosis and treatment of the disease of the kidneys. Right. Pediatrician. A tax director. The fuck are they? Dermatologist. So, all right, medical, shitloads. You got to go to a lot of school for medical. That's probably not one that they're going to let you do an internship in. I'm going to be honest. I'd like to be a plastic surgeon. Medical school, no. I did do a fortnight though. Director of engineering. Yeah, to be honest, I thought there'd be more engineering jobs in there. To be honest, they don't feel like number 17 on this list is 50 grand a year. Like, I know almost every electrician I know makes more than that. I don't feel like that is the actual. Right. On Indeed, I feel like Indeed might have more of an idea. This also doesn't feel right. No, it's the same fucking list. Anyway. What was a tax director salary? 97k or something? Apner says it irks me that doctors and engineers and scientists, critical roles you learn, earn less than the business roles. That's not right, that. Oh, I'm going to fucking chat GPT. I feel like that would have a better idea. I also think in America, where it's a bit more commercial, some of those medical jobs might be like 4 or 5 times what they are over here. Ant says, this is why sports and music is better in the North. It's a way out of poverty without being rude. Yeah, just kind of the only thing people know. Boxing, football, or fucking music. And that's probably a lot of fucking truth. Go and ask chat. So it says the highest paying jobs in the UK are typically in finance, law, and specialised executives. So CEO in tech, finance, or pharmaceuticals, 500k to 5 mil. Investment banker, 500k to 3 mil. Hedge fund manager. See, hedge fund manager. What the fuck do they do? £1 million salary. Private equity partner. What does that mean? 700k a year. Corporate lawyer, 500k. Wowzers. Medical specialist, 250k. CFO, 500k. A tech company executive, 500k. Consultant in medicine, 500k. Venture capital partner, 500k. Like, do you know what I mean? Tempic Hike says, here in Canada, salaries are a bit like the UK. We lose a ton of our best doctors to the US and they make 2-3 times more down there. Big tech jobs in America, especially in AI, pay $1 million a year with equity in some cases. Fucking hell. Apna says in medical professions, the specialists earn well, but the majority of workforce are not specialists or doctors and still not close. Yeah, I can see that. Will I be testifying at the Sean Diddy Coombs trial? I fucking hope not. Never met the guy. Abhinav says footballer has to be in the highest paying jobs. That's only the top 1%. I mean, people are earning 200-300k playing National League. Francis says, wouldn't the trades be sole trades though? So maybe it doesn't count as a salary, possibly. Have I read Natives by Arkayla? No, but I've got it. I haven't read it yet though. Arkayla's one of the, perhaps the most sort of definitive example of someone who, when you listen to him speak of any sort of monologue or talking to anyone, you sit there and you go, fucking hell, am I an ape? I don't have a fucking clue like what he's gone on. Yeah. Witterbird says, wow, you're still alive. I am. 20 Legend says people earn 200k in the National League. Yeah. Way more than you think. And I'm not just talking at the likes of Wrexham and that when they were in there. What would I say the average salary for a YouTuber is? I have no idea. Like, my channel turns over a lot, but I also have a lot of staff. So, like, I earn very fucking similar to what I would have been earning as a quantity surveyor right now. But I have a lot more freedom in my life. So, there's swings and roundabouts to it. Michael says everyone in the NHS on a pay scale except doctors, they can earn what they want. There's also the private sector still as well that I guess people in the medical industry can work in. Anthony says the internet does change the game somewhat. You can earn good money online and anyone can start a business if they have a passion. True. Best and easiest to earn money, punditry, talk knows, get paid high. Yeah, TalkSport will probably give anyone a gig if they just fucking start slagging off United. 10 Big Hike says, pretty sure I read the average National League salary is 79k, so I'd imagine there's lots higher. There'll be lads in the National League on 25, 30k, which means, yeah, there's probably someone on $500,000. Isaac says, it's actually crazy how much Prem footballers make when you think about it. 100k a week is insane. It's not just the ones on 100k a week, it's the ones that are the fourth choice centre half at the 10th best team in the country that are on 80, 90, 75k, that sort of stuff. Mental. How good was Leslie Vinacolo? Absolute brick shit house. Unbelievable. That fucking... the Bradford side of the early 2000s, speaking of teams that might not pass piss tests, fucking hell. Angel says, I hate TalkSport. I stopped watching it long ago. The bias against United is embarrassing. Yeah. Joshua Boa says, Scott Carson, my dream job. Do I think finances in football will ever collapse to a point where 100k a week salaries are gone? Probably not, but I feel like at some point you can't have infinite growth, can you? There has to be a shrinkage at some point. It can't just continue to fucking grow. And like, can TV money keep up? Will it get to the point where they have to put ticket prices over £100 a go? Like, ticket prices. Like, I don't know. I don't know how you. I don't know how you feed this constant more, and it's been 30 years of it. I don't know how much longer you've got of it. Maybe it needs it. Shab says if Amazon or Apple finally get into football streaming, that's when the cookie will start to crumble. Not necessarily, because if they're paying the going rate, then they're just going to keep everything going in the same direction. Callum says the amount of people with Fire Sticks now compared to Sky is insane. Yeah, but you're thinking about England. They're still the whole rest of the world, and like it or not, we've not reached the saturation point. There's still going to be shitloads of countries that are only coming online to like subscription TV as their economies improve and they can afford to do that. So you might see more competition to get to those markets from the clubs to sort of drive attention to Premier League and Champions League kind of football, but it cannot possibly continue to grow for another 30 years the way it has done. I don't know. I don't think the sport's better for it though. I don't think the sport's better for it though. Winston says, do I come to the US much outside of pre-season with United? I'm a Brit living in Atlanta. I would love to meet you in a paddock, lads, one day. No, last 2 times that we've been has been because of Manchester United's pre-season. I want to go with the girls next year. I want to also go and do some shooting in Virginia, to be honest, with GBRS group. But, you know, life gets in the way at times. And I'd love to go and do some stuff like that. I think I'd love to go and do some hiking in America. You know, maybe one day that the IRL channel can take off and we can see more of America because of that channel. At the moment, it don't make a fucking thing. It's not monetized. It's literally just costing me money to make at the moment, but it is what it is. How many teams the Paddock have? We have 8. Notch says, Robin Friday's story is crazy, but few people know about it. I'm not familiar with Robin Friday. Poker Fitness and everything else says, do you ever join McCullough playing football? I think certainly out of all the football lads, I was the first one to do poker on YouTube. We had, I think, me, Statman Dave, Ben, McCullough. We did it when we first moved into the studio, like 7 years ago. I just never continued doing it. But yeah, he's fucking smashed it with the poker that he's doing. Witterbird says, I did Yellowstone. It was great. It's fucking top, innit? Anyway, it's late. I'm going to go and get my head down. But cheers, everyone, for hanging out. Hope you all have a good Friday, Saturday, whatever the fuck day it is. And I hope United don't fuck it all up for us tomorrow and we actually get the 3 points. You know, we do all right these next few games and we'll be happy days, but it could go tits up, couldn't it? Anyway, enjoy the game. I'll see you after the game. See you in a bit. Hey, thank you for watching the video. If you are new around these parts, then don't forget to subscribe. My channel is proudly supported by my community on Patreon. If you'd like to get a little bit of extra content, a Discord group, meetups, 5-a-side games, weekly podcasts, behind the scenes, and even an occasional bit of transfer news as and when I get it, then for the price of a pint, you can show your appreciation for the content that we make and get some goodies for doing so as well. Check the link in the description or click the button right here. You'll also find all of my socials here too if you want to follow me on any of those platforms. Nice one.